Weirdness. Weirdness. Sabotage. 150-year-old Clara Meadmore claims to be Britain's oldest virgin. She says she's never had sex because she's too busy. It's like being married again, that one. You're watching The Right Stuff. Right now, though, can you lose your virginity too late in life? The actress Brooke Shields has told an American magazine she regrets losing hers as late as she did. The Blue Lagoon star. Did she ever make any movies after that? The Blue Lagoon star didn't pop a cherry until she was 22, but now wishes she'd done it a lot earlier, and I quote, "I had all this pressure and wish I'd just got it over with. I think I would have been more in touch with myself," she said. Pressure. What pressure? I like that line too. I thought the pressure on girls was to do it, not hang on to it. If I remember right, Brooke didn't stay a virgin for religious reasons, but until she just wanted to keep it until she fell truly, madly, deeply in love. The average Brit, both male and female, loses their virginity somewhere between their 16th and 17th birthdays. Almost 1 in 3 will later claim they regretted doing it so early, because they felt they were with the wrong person, or because they had been too young, or were in the wrong place. Research has shown that those who start having sex in their teens are also more likely to have risky sex later in life and contract an STI than those who wait. But, and I think this is fascinating, recent research in the United States, in fact it was just last year, found that those who lost their virginity late also experienced problems. The study found that those who didn't lose their virginity until their 20s had difficulty developing satisfying sexual relationships and were more likely to suffer from a fear of intimacy, body image problems and sexual dysfunction, which I think is fascinating. So what do you say? Can losing your virginity later in life be as damaging as losing it when you're young? Now, this is going to cause immense difficulty when I turn to the panel, because...
I love the way you like turning down here.
Oh, no, I'm not. I wasn't looking at it. It's my wonky eye, my lazy eye. But well, then, go on, you volunteered, Lammykins. Amanda, what do you know about virginity and doing it early and doing it late?
I lost mine early.
Right.
I'm not going to say how early, because my father might... because my father might be watching. But I regret it, yeah. And it wasn't peer pressure. I bowed down to the pressure that my boyfriend was giving me. So I wish I'd waited. And in hindsight, I really wish I'd waited.
Do you know people that have waited?
Not many of my friends, but I come from Portsmouth. But not many of my friends, but I do know some people that wait. Yeah, actually, that's what I do. I do know someone that waited for the right time, and they said that it was a good thing to do. I really wish in hindsight that I had done, because it is something that's pretty precious, and you shouldn't just give it away left, right and centre, try and get it over and done with.
Or is it maybe the whole idea of making something precious out of something which is so normal, actually elevating something which is so ordinary into something that is then becomes synonymous with all kinds of problems, sexual dysfunction, emotional problems, physical problems.
What you've just said, we're stuff one way or the other, aren't
exactly.
we? Whether we lose it early or late.
Because I would suggest the whole problem is we focus on it too much. That would be why we have the problems.
I don't think that the age thing in particular is a problem. I think it's losing it to the right person. And like you say, how can you ever know who the right person is? But for me, there's no way I should have done it when I did, and I wish I'd waited a bit longer.
OK. Dominic.
Let's throw it open to people at home.
Says a man in a pink frilly skirt, yes.
I lost it later than Amanda, but it wasn't for want of trying. It was being short and looking like I do. But I'm always very sceptical of these stats, Matthew, these spurious statistics that we read. I actually would agree with Amanda. I think how long's a piece of string? You know, there is no right time, really. I mean, actually, there is a right time. I think you've got to be mature. I think the younger it is, the less... You know, I've always said on your show before, I love the idea of childhood lasting as long as it can, and sex is a very adult thing. Yeah. So I love the idea of actually, you know...
Although, in a funny way, I would say that one thing we're always trying to ignore is that the transitional period between child and adult, which is generally spotted as the teenage area, is when teenagers will also start to dip their hands, toes and whoopsie-daisy into adult areas such as sex, and that what we tend to do as a society is damn them for it, when in actual fact we should be a little bit more open-minded and forgiving and a little bit more mindful of how we behaved and how our parents behaved and our grandparents behaved.
It's interesting
because teenagers have been having sex forever.
Of course, and they will continue to. But there is a male bravado about how young you are. John Cleese actually famously. John Cleese, with all his celebrated university career he had, he was very late. He was into his 20s, and he's embarrassed by that now.
Yeah.
And he so you know, the illustrious career he's had and celebrated throughout the world, he's still embarrassed that he was late and went through university.
Brooke Shields saying she'd be more in touch with it. I mean, how would... I don't quite understand what she's going on about.
I suspect that she means that she falls into this sort of American research category of having problems attached, maybe overemphasis on the preciousness of something, and then once it's gone, you realise perhaps there isn't.
I can't imagine being late could be a problem. I can see being early could be a problem, but I can't see it the other way around.
Well, I can. Because I think, let's put it this way, and I know this from very heavily committed Christians, is you sit there and it becomes, the longer you put it off, the more you're waiting for the right person, the more you elevate this thing into something so precious it becomes like the Holy Grail. And then when you do it and it doesn't really happen, you think, well, why didn't the earth move? Well, you know, because you're so inexperienced, you've got so much catching up to do, that you're then having to deal with all the neuroses that teenagers have to deal with as teenagers, as an adult, and you don't understand, you haven't got the facilities to cope. Just throwing that idea out. What do you say, Angelica?
Well, I was later than both these guys.
Right.
I was in my 20s.
OK, so you're in the 20s.
And I had different constraints on me because, again, I was from a religious background and you were taught there was no sex before marriage. Now, although I stopped practising my religion when I was left home, when I was 18 or 17, whatever, there was still like, oh, my gosh, the fear of, you know, like, oh, I practice this religion, fear of God, what's going to happen.
Talking to a Catholic boy, and I did mine ridiculously early, despite being told it was a sin. And, you know, it's something that follows around in your head, though, even though you're doing it. It doesn't mean you don't think, oh, maybe I've done something terrible. Maybe I'm, you know, a sinner.
But then I just waited because, you know, it didn't really bother me. Boys weren't really a main feature in my growing up years. Plus, I was quite immature. I wasn't the person I am now, even then when I lost my virginity. And I'm glad I waited, because then I was like, right, you know. So when it happened for me, I was in control. No one was putting pressure on me. I did it when I wanted to do it.
That's the perfect
And I felt like a, you know, bit of a sex vixen, because I was prepared in my mind, mentally and physically. But that's me. And I wouldn't have to say I had any of those problems that you were talking about. In fact, it's been better for me, because I know what I want.
You said the absolute thing, that you were in control.
Yeah.
And I think that, to me, is the most important thing for men or women, really, is to feel they're actually in control of where they are. Can you understand that for some people, perhaps, well, maybe other than, I don't know, for Brooke Shields, that hanging on to it for a while for her...
I can understand that, because there is pressure, you know, there's loads of people I meet who say, oh, I had lost my virginity at a younger age, and sometimes at first it'd be like, I'm a bit like, no, you know, once I'm a bit square,
But did you discuss... I certainly didn't discuss it with any of my girlfriends. I guess men and women are different, but when I lost mine, I didn't go to all my girlfriends and go, guess what I did last night? I kept really quiet.
They would talk about it. They might not boast about it, but they would talk about it.
Martina McCutcheon tells a great story that she walks in one day to see her mum and goes, Mum, I'm a woman.
My mum would have gone mad. You're a what?
OK. Let's throw it open to you, the people at home. I suppose we're talking about when is the right time, but the real thrust of this, if you excuse the turn of phrase, is to find out whether you can leave it too late. Kirsty, anything you want to say?
Absolutely nothing. I was late, though. I was a later one as well.
No regrets?
No, not at all, because I used to look at the other girls and just think they were a bit cheap. I honestly, I didn't like it.
Did you feel in control, that you were...
Absolutely.
Right, OK.
But I felt, you do, I think it helps you to grow up as well. I think, you know, especially for guys, they become more mature, and so definitely...
Do you think so?
Yeah. Well, but I didn't...
Is there a single guy who thinks losing their virginity made them more mature? No, you're wrong.
But I waited as well, because I didn't fancy anyone enough, and you know, and I was very selective.
That is a good point.
They had to look right, and they had to be quite intelligent, and I found the perfect guy.
She's selective. I like that.
Yeah, I am
selective.
picky.
It's good to have.
Thanks,
guys are selective. I'll have that one. That one. I jest, of course. Who's on the phones?
We have Michelle on line 1.
Michelle, good morning.
Hello.
Hello. So, Michelle, the voice of sense in this debate. What do you have to say?
I don't think that you can leave it too late, to be honest with you. I was 20 and I'd been out with a guy for 3 years and we didn't do anything but kiss and cuddle.
Yeah.
And I felt that he was with me because he loved me,
Right.
not because of what I was giving him.
Right.
And I was treated like a princess. And unfortunately, we split up because he said we didn't have enough chemistry. But since then, I found that men treat you like cheap if you give it away too quickly.
Do you?
Yeah. That, from my experience, I do, yes. Like, if I go out with somebody now, I make them wait quite a while.
How old are you now, Michelle?
I'm 37.
37. See, I would have thought the nice thing about getting to your 30s is that what people think is no longer as important as what you want, and that the women that I know from their 30s on are, to take Angelica's word, in control. And if they want to have sex, they will have sex, and if they don't, they won't. And I think that's that's the maturity, isn't it? You can control. And guys, I don't know. I mean, guys are always going to be the same. They just want to do it. I mean, that's the biological program.
But is
really.
Michelle saying that basically if you give up your, your virginity or have sex freely without making a man respect you, then...
What about someone who just want to have sex? Who
Well, I
don't want
suppose
to have
that's
a
people's
relationship?
choice, isn't it? I
Yeah.
think that if you just want to have sex, you should just have
Isn't
sex.
that what the whole Madonna post-feminist sexual revolution is about? The empowerment of women to do what you want without worrying about what other people say?
But I think there's very few women who can actually go out there and just have sex with whoever they want and just get up and just do what,
Without consequences.
Exactly, without consequences.
Because I
without
think the
emotions.
nightclubs of Britain are filled with them.
Yeah, but I bet if you look deeply, that there's a lot of this going on
Yeah.
as well. I don't
Okay.
think women can just go out and... We're not genetically
I think they
programmed.
can.
We
I think they can. I think they've been programmed
But we're not-
to try not to, or to make
But
judgments.
we're not
that they live in a-
genetically... a woman's job... Oh, God, this is going to get the phone lines going. Is to nurture children, is to have sex,
Really?
to bring up children. It is. I mean, you go back to caveman times. But it is. And yes, you can go out and sleep with loads of different men.
Amanda, the whole feminist revolution was
I
about
know,
the
I'm
fact that we
talking-
must stop casting people
I know.
into socially determined, predetermined roles and free people, liberate each other
she
from this
just had a
bondage.
baby.
Biologically, like you say, men are programmed to go out and sow their seed in as many places as they can, and women are programmed to have children.
Okay,
and I know
okay,
that
okay.
people are going to start phoning in.
Okay,
What
okay.
can I do?
I probably to support you, I'd imagine. Michelle, thank you very much for the call. That is a great provocative statement. Let's have another, please.
Deborah's on line 5.
Deborah, good morning.
Morning.
What's your take on this then, Deborah?
Well, I lost my virginity at 31,
That's quite late, in my experience.
very late, and I feel I've missed out on about 15 years.
Why did you leave it so long?
It just was a combination. I didn't think people fancied me, and
Right.
I just hid away.
Right. And regrets?
Yes, I think I've lost 15 years of sex.
15 years of sex, so that takes you back to 16. So you wished you'd done it at 16?
Possibly. Well, no, I'm not 31 now.
Oh, sorry.
But I did miss out on learning all the things that my equals have now.
So when do you think you should have started? When would you have liked to have started?
I think around 19, 20 is a reasonable age.
Okay. And do you have kids yourself?
No.
No, I'm fascinated to know what you would tell them if you had children. What would you tell them?
I wouldn't tell them what I did.
You wouldn't tell them what you did?
No, I think I was being a bit silly all those years.
Okay, I mean, no.
But Deborah should take heart, because I know people who say they've had 15 years of bad sex.
Yeah?
Rather have none than...
But is 15 years of bad sex worse than 15 years of no sex?
The debate continues.
Well, actually...
And even if it's bad, what about bad sex with someone you love? Or maybe I don't understand if you can have bad sex.
Would you stay with someone if you were having bad sex with them?
Who, me?
Both of you?
You just threw that one out there.
It's a great question. It's a great question.
You need to give me some notice.
No, I wouldn't. There you go.
You wouldn't.
No.
And on that bombshell, let's go.
But
to the break.
if you had, excuse me, Deborah, excuse me, if you are in, see, my definition of good sex, right, isn't about being thrown around the room or whatever. It is about having sex with someone you really care for.
Yeah.
That is always the best sex for me is when it's with someone you really like.
And it's a bonus if it's good.
Yeah, well, no, I just think if it's with someone you really like, it tends to be really good because you're much more relaxed and you're much more into the person you're with and the whole thing, as opposed to if it's someone you just meet and you just want to get your rocks off, then you just do it, and it's very limited and confined to like a sort of physical act rather than a whole-encompassing picture.
When I came in this morning, I thought being forced to wear a tutu and dancing was going to be the most embarrassing part of the show. Turns out I was wrong.
But isn't it fascinating, all the different points of view?
Yeah.
I mean, you know...
I'm actually sweating. Do you do counselling after this? Because I can't believe what I've said on TV.
I like to consider this as counselling. My own personal counselling. Deborah, thank you. Let's have another, please.
We have Michelle on line 3.
Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, Matthew.
And your view on this, Michelle?
Well, I, again, lost my virginity at 31,
Right.
and I absolutely have no regrets.
Why did you wait that long?
It wasn't because I thought it was precious or anything like that. It was because I was waiting for love and the right person to come along, and I didn't really want to be familiar with that many people, to be honest with you. I just wanted one special person. I suppose I'm quite romantic in that way.
Yeah.
And even from when I was younger, I always said the only man I would sleep with would be the father of my children.
Right.
And I now have a 1.5-year-old daughter, and I've got another one on the way.
OK. And how many... I mean, your partner, did he only sleep with you?
Oh, please. I
Is that what he said?
Man of the world, man of the world.
Well, he's definitely had a few partners than me, but at 31, I couldn't expect to meet another a male virgin. So, I mean, I was realistic and...
I don't know, the Right Stuff audience.
And Michelle, what would be... What...
Just get a look at that.
Michelle,
Yeah.
Michelle, what would you be telling your children?
That, you know, there's no rush. It's up to you when you feel ready, when it's right. And when I was growing up, we had those adverts in the 80s of the big tombstone and AIDS and all that type of stuff. And that affected me quite profoundly. So I was always aware of...
Funny enough, one of our producers the other day, we were having a conversation, I said that the AIDS ads, I thought they were utterly useless and they wouldn't have any effect whatsoever. And she said that it made her scared of sex or made her very aware of the problem. So that's funny that it got to you as well. So if your children turned around and said they wanted to do it, they were 15 and a half and they wanted to do it when they were 16, would you stand in their way? Would you try and stand in their way?
I would ask them to consider it carefully and think about their reasons why. You know, is it just a lustful thing? Is it a love thing? Is it because your friends are doing it?
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of questions to be asked, but there definitely isn't no rush in losing your virginity.
But just so clear, because you sound incredibly reasonable. That's why I just want to push it to the nth degree if I can. That they say, no, I love this person, or in fact, no, I just want to do it. I like feelings, I like sexual feelings, I want to have sex, I don't have a problem with it. Would you try and stop them? If you've had your conversation, you've gone through all the questions, would you try and stop them?
What I would say to them if I couldn't go that... Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, you're putting me off my...
And that's what happens when you do have sex.
Michelle, we've got to take a break. I'll have to leave that question hanging in the air, but thank you for the call.
But it's quite romantic though, if someone waits, isn't it, and they find that person. It's quite like a fairy
Can I be
tale.
actually honest? I think they're mugs. No. I'm sorry, I think they're mugs.
It's so interesting.
I think they're mugs. I'm with that first caller who said 15 years
But
too
then to
late,
have the
15
conviction to
years
say,
of regret.
this is what I want to do, or if you have a religious belief and say, I want to wait, I think that people should do what they feels best for them. And if people want to wait and wait for that person they love, good for
fundamentally,
them.
we've got to stop elevating the idea of virginity to some kind of precious holy state. I think it ruins women. After the ads, how old is too old to be looking for monsters under the bed? Ka-chim!